On the anniversary of Martyrs' Day, the President visits the Martyrs monument in Qassim. On the eve of the elections of the People's Assembly, Syrian governorates complete their preparations for this purpose. The meeting of Syrian tribes in Homs calls upon the Syrian people to achieve national reconciliation and forgiveness. Good afternoon, welcome to our news bulletin. I'm Dania Nizam. In commemoration of martyrs, the most noble people who sacrificed themselves for the dignity of their homeland, and on the occasion of May 6th, the Day of Martyrs, President Bashar al-Assad visited the Martyrs monument in Qassim Mountain and laid down a wreath of flowers. The President was welcomed by Major General Dawood Rajha, Deputy Commander of the Armed Forces and Minister of Defense, and General Fahd al-Frij, Chief of Staff.
رئيس حرس الشرف جهاز الاتصالات العميد al-Assad قائد حرس الشرف.
Music played the national anthem while the President reviewed the Guard of Honor. A boy and a girl, descendants of martyrs, gave flowers to the President, who shook hands with high-ranking officials, including Vice Presidents Farouk al-Shara and Dr. Najah al-Attar, Mohammed Saeed Khaitan, Assistant Regional Secretary of the party Dr. Mahmoud al-Abrash, Speaker of the People's Assembly, Prime Minister Dr. Adir Safar, the Deputy Minister of Defense, Deputy Chief of Staff, and the leader of the Palestine Liberation Army. The President recited the first chapter of the Quran for the rest of the souls of our martyrs. Music played the farewell tune of Martyrs. The President left the Martyrs Monument with the procedures of esteem and respect. On the occasion of Martyrs' Day, and to pay respect to their souls, a Mass was held at the Cathedral of St. George of the Roman Orthodox in Damascus, and it was attended by a Russian delegation of media figures, academics, and analysts.
The worshippers asserted the continuous love and stability among the people in the homeland. They paid respect for the martyrs because they were the torches of light and they were examples of sacrifice. Assistant of His Beatitude Ignatius IV Hazim, Patriarch of Antioch and all the East for the Roman Catholics, Bishop Luca Al-Khouri led the Mass, calling in his sermon to resort to wisdom and to pray for the security and stability in Syria, and also to pray for the rest of the martyrs' souls, asserting that the national unity enhances Syria's stances and its ability to face the challenges.
The evils have embraced their conspiracies, but they did not take into consideration that the people are capable of facing them, and this is for the sake of their right.
He also called on the prayers to keep being together and to honor the martyrs who were beacons that illuminate the path towards glory.
In honor of those who sacrificed themselves to protect their country, Syrian citizens in all governorates visited the tomb of the unknown soldier, observed a minute of silence, and stood by the relatives of our martyrs, who are the symbols of our pride and dignity. Martyrs teach us successive generations that a martyr is immortal in heaven. They inspire our people to remain steadfast against those who tried to sabotage our country or to disrupt its stability and to deprive it of its faith and its sources of strength. The Minister of Information, Adnan Mahmoud, said that the People's Assembly elections that will be carried out tomorrow are the first that will be held after adopting the new constitution. He added that the elections will be held on the basis of political parties' pluralism and in accordance to the new elections law, which provide the supervision on the elections only to the independent judicial commissions through the High Elections Commission. Minister Mahmoud added in a statement today that the political and media freedom provided by the government, which came from the constitution, gives all the lists, candidates and parties the opportunity to express their programs and plans, as the electoral campaigns have been organized in the framework of the equal competitiveness. He pointed out that the national media implemented the international democratic standards to the electoral campaigns and in the coverage of the electoral activities and festivals that have been organized by the lists and parties competing through equal news coverage in the newspapers, television and in the radio. Television also organized debates between the candidates from different governorates with public participation. He stressed to the Syrian media that the Syrian media means have become platforms to open free and active competition for those who can participate, such as the parties' lists and candidates, with no restrictions. In preparation for the People's Assembly elections scheduled to be held on May 7th, Minister of Interior Major General Bashar was briefed on the measures taken by Aleppo Governorate to make the parliamentary elections a success. He stressed the necessity of ensuring all requirements necessary for the success of the election process. Meanwhile, secretaries of the ballot centres were sworn in before members of the elections committee in the city. In Salamiyya and Kafirban in Hama, the national unity candidates met the peoples of the two regions and were briefed on their problems and demands. They also explained the important role of the forthcoming People's Assembly in developing services offered to citizens. The Kurdish People's Committees called on all strata of society to take part in the People's Assembly elections, which are considered a turning point in the history of Syria towards reform, national unity and rejecting all kinds of terrorism and violence. In a statement, the committee stressed that participation in the election process is a national duty because it is the way for establishing real democracy.
If we are elected, we shall exert intensive efforts to promote the process of reform and to build modern Syria according to the new constitution which organizes our social and political life.
This election of the People's Assembly comes after the adoption of the new constitution and after 1 year of the plot against Syria. We shall contribute to the consolidation of our institutions and offer the world a model of national unity. The Syrian people need no lessons in democracy from anybody. The Syrian people will remain steadfast and for the conspiracy.
The national initiative of the Syrian Kurds includes the efforts of the businessmen and politicians who continue their activities and did not run away or smuggle their capital abroad. We believe that the coming People's Assembly will be a historic turning point in Syria's modern history. It's an important task and a major historical responsibility in the reconstruction of Syria's infrastructure and in consolidating the national economy. We shall have a different People's Assembly.
ما تمر به سوريا هو تآمر غير مسبوق حقيقة.
Syria has been targeted by a dangerous plot. We have dedicated ourselves for a noble purpose in these circumstances. There are solutions and programs of reform included in our election program. They need plans to carry them out. We shall contribute to the legislations that serve the people and achieve their demands.
Under the slogan of frankness and forgiveness, we achieve reconciliation, the Syrian and Arab tribes held their 12th meeting in the governorate of Homs. The meeting called upon the Syrian people to achieve national reconciliation and forgiveness. The final statement of the meeting asserted that Syrian citizens are dignified and their properties and lives are respected and protected. The speakers in the meeting asserted that the Syrian tribes would remain a strong shield of their homeland against foreign intervention and against the vicious plots of Syria's enemies. 3 citizens, including a child, were killed and 21 others were injured in a booby-trapped car blast in front of an automobile laundry in al-Sukkari neighborhood in Aleppo City. News reporter quoted a source in the city as saying that the explosion resulted in the death of Abdel Hadi Shami, 25, Hussein Haj Masto, 30, and Akram Muhbiq bin Abdel Basit, 10, and the injury of 21 others. 2 of them are in critical condition. Iran condemned the terrorist crimes which target innocent people and vital installations in Syria. Mr. Ramin Mahman, press spokesman of the Iranian Foreign Ministry, asserted that some countries were arming the Syrian opposition in order to ignite civil war and to intensify the crisis. He stressed the necessity of ending the smuggle of weapons into Syria. He affirmed Iran's support of the mission of Kofi Annan in order to solve the crisis and to achieve security and stability in order to carry out reforms in a calm atmosphere. He asserted that the schemes of some countries are not compatible with the wishes of their people. He also stressed the necessity of facing and foiling the crimes of the Zionist entity. The people of the region are disgusted with the collusion of their rulers with the Zionists. A team of the international observers in Syria today visited al-Zabadani, Madaya, and Sargaya and Damascus countryside. Another team of the international observers also visited today al-Bayda and al-Khaldiya and Homs. Yesterday, a team of the international observers visited Hama and met Governor Dr. Anas Naim and toured the neighborhoods of the south of the stadium, March 8th Street and Masha al-Arbin. Another observer team visited the city of Douma in Damascus countryside and met a number of the city's inhabitants. The Bahraini authorities arrested the Bahraini human rights chief Nabil Rajab at dawn today. The law activist Youssef al-Muhafiz said that this arrest came after he did an interview in Beirut with the chief editor of WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, and the interview has been broadcast by Russia today. Thousands of Bahrainis demonstrated the day before yesterday in the capital Manama after calls from the opposition protesting against the so-called constitutional reforms, affirming that these reforms are not sufficient and they are evidence of the absence of real reform and the closed mentality of the decision makers in Bahrain. With this, we conclude our news bulletin for today. For more news about Syria and the region, you can visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy.